Hello everyone, Tor here. DP made a claim that my comments are very often negative and that I'm highly critical of them and that I have all these grievances against them and that I'm perched like a vulture during every episode looking for something to critique. And Paul specifically called me a quote-unquote shit-stirring cunt. Just to remind everyone, Paul's rant against me where he made all these claims I proved to be false in my video came about because I called his analogy shitty. If that's not butthurt, then I don't know what is, but Paul made all these claims without evidence, and they invited me on the show to hear out my grievances. My only grievance with the show before that night was the Dusty thing from weeks ago, which I brought up. And I was so confused because Paul had questioned whether I was a fan or not and smeared me as a hater when they clearly knew I had been an avid commenter for a long time. And at that moment, that was my new grievance, which I brought up. And me calling Paul's analogy shitty, it isn't even a fucking grievance. It was one minor disagreement that would have never been brought up again, but still, I brought it up. I addressed all three of these things, and people say I just sucked their dicks the whole time and didn't bring up my grievances when I clearly did. And I wouldn't even call these grievances. I'm a fan of the show who disagreed with them one time and criticized Scotty one time, and they're going to question whether I'm a fan or not over that. I didn't see Paul freak out on Beyond Fear a year ago when she was in the chat disagreeing with DP about Devin Tracy, and she got a lot nastier than I ever did. But no, you never saw Paul question their friendship or smear her as a DP hater. I was a huge fan of the show who had one major disagreement, and when they brought me on, I told them exactly that. And DP fans keep coming to me telling me that I didn't give my honest position on the show just because that white trash lying sack of shit Paul told everyone that, oh, I had a public position and a private position without any evidence whatsoever. I gave my honest opinion on the show. My comment history proves that. 99% positive comments and 1% negative comments prove that. If I wasn't a fan, I wouldn't be spending 6 hours a week watching them. And Paul's grand point is that I have this private position of Scotty that I think he's an autistic retard, when I've never said any such thing, and the actual comment he twisted was right there on the screen in front of their fucking faces, and not one of the other three cared to point that out. I described Scotty's demeanor during one moment in one episode as autistic screeching. That doesn't equate to me thinking he's an autistic retard. So fuck you, Paul. Fuck you for lying, no different than when Brett Keane lies. And your argument is that I didn't talk to Scotty like that on the show? Why would I? Why would I bring up a moment from weeks ago before that I had already forgotten about that wasn't a big deal because that one moment I thought Scotty was acting like a complete jackass didn't influence my opinion of his character overall. And the Dusty video I called reasonable in this comment wasn't the original fucking video I didn't watch. It was the previous Dusty video you guys watched on the show. So once again, Paul smeared me as a liar when I wasn't even talking about the video he thought I was talking about. So yeah, I'm somehow two-faced because I gave my honest opinion on the show, and of course Paul won't admit he was wrong, so he won't accept that answer and doubles down trying to smear me as a DP hater who thinks Scotty's an autistic retard, all things he fabricated to smear me because he's too much of a fucking coward to admit he was wrong when he flew off the handle and called me a DP hater. There is no evidence I think Scotty is a screeching autistic retard. There's no evidence that my comments are very often negative, which he said directly to me. Paul pulled a Brett Keane and got backed into a corner and started throwing out wild accusations to get the pressure off. And of course he knew people would just take his word for it instead of just looking into it for themselves. I have been a loyal DP fanboy for years, and this fucking asshole dragged my name through the mud because I called his analogy shitty. And the dude who told lies about me and smeared me all because I called his analogy shitty is going to question my character. And now, We get to the last part. I never used my social anxiety as an excuse, you miserable cunt. People kept giving me shit for my stuttering and long awkward pauses and shaky voice, and I told them the reason. And you're gonna tell me I hid behind my mental illness because I gave the exact reason as to why I was like that? You are a true scumbag, Paul's ego. Mocking my illness in one breath and then saying I'm making a mockery of it on my own the next. You are objectively a liar and a fucking coward. You said a bunch of shit about me that wasn't true. I denied it and even proved it was false, and then you doubled down because you're too much of a pussy to admit you were wrong.